Hi, my name is Evelina. It is also Linnea. I use both. I explain why in what I think is now the previous video on here. Um, I don't know if you can link to videos. I'll need to find that out as well. Christ, it's been a long time since I did this. Yeah, so my name is Evelina. My given name. My pen name, my creative alter ego is Linnea Lucifer. So that's the name of this account. Where I'm from. I am from Sweden. That's where I was born. I grew up in the north of Sweden. But I live in England and I've been living here for, oh gosh, somewhere between 15 and 20 years now. Yeah, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have problems with my memory. I'm sorry. How many siblings I have? Oh, that's really cute. I guess that whoever made this new noob tag questions was relatively young. I have 3 biological siblings, and then I have quite a few that I've sort of chosen and incorporated into my extended family over time. So there's quite a lot of them. But 3 are my biological ones, 2 sisters and 1 brother, and I love them all very much. But I don't get to see them very often, unfortunately. Is this your first channel? No, it's not. It isn't my first Twitch channel, and it isn't, when this goes up on YouTube, my first YouTube channel either. But it is the first one I've started with an express sort of mission or plan in action. I started a blog called aswewrite.com in March 2020 when the pandemic started and I had to go into isolation. And I've come to a point where the blog is growing and I wanted to be able to provide my blog posts in audio format. And I also wanted to start sharing my own creative writing and see if maybe other creative writers would be interested in sharing that journey, maybe find some writing buddies or even critique partners, etc. But more than anything, I wanted to be able to make videos and blog posts to share the process of writing. This month, January, I have been a writing coach for 35 years. So for a very long time, I've been helping other people become better writers, essentially. And it's something I'm passionate about, something I love. And one thing I've learned from doing that is that a lot of people. Oh, and by the way, I've been mainly doing academic and non-fictional coaching for writers, but I've also done creative stuff, particularly poetry and lyrics, but also stories, fan fiction, original stories, a lot, most of it within fantasy and sci-fi, because those are the, well, particularly fantasy is my probably most favorite area. But I feel when you've done this for such a long time, it doesn't really matter to me what area people are writing in. Oh, I should have said I also do a lot of smut coaching and editing, which is apparently a problem. I didn't realize this, but a lot of people who write smut, which is sexual material, in case you didn't know, whether it is erotica or just romance with sexual content in it, anything that isn't sort of fade to black, which I really hate. It's one of my pet peeves in writing, when they build up to the part where a couple are about to have sex and then it fades to black, because I don't know, it worries me so much that we live in a time when people think that sex, or even just seeing a part of a human body without clothes on, is somehow worse than seeing gore, torture, blood. Um, all sorts of really horrible scenes are fine. But I was watching The Wheel of Time on Amazon over just before Christmas, and I think it was in the first episode. There is a scene where 2 of the main characters share a bathtub together. Now they have a completely platonic relationship. They are not boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, lovers, nothing like that. They're just really, really good friends who's known each other for over 20 years. And they also have a magical bond that makes it possible for them to feel each other's feelings and know each other's thoughts. And they are sharing a bath, which is, the idea of the old kind of medieval huge baths where loads of people can get into the same bathtub. Uh, and there is like a split second where you can see his bare bottom. And the number of people I've seen writing, particularly on Twitter, that they could not let their children, most importantly, but some even said their parents, which makes no sense to me as a parent. Yeah, I'd love to see my kids tell me what I can and cannot watch. But they're kind of saying that, oh, it's sexualized, so you can't show that. And now how is going to be able to watch this, and how are they going to stop family members from watching this and see this sexual material? The thing is, there's nothing sexual about it. However, in the very same episode, there is plenty of blood and violence, and some of it really, really sort of in your face. But apparently that's okay. That scares me. So yeah, I don't have a problem with sexual material, whether it is just sort of mentioning the fact that people have sex, or whether we go into the real dark side with more heavy things. I'm not much of a vanilla person, so I'm kind of cool with wherever it goes. But so yeah, that's what I do. I lost the plot for a second. I need to. Yeah, I love you too, baby. So anyway, that was the reason why I started the channel. I wanted to share all these ideas I have around writing, and also things that I come up with, because I started to really dip into writing from a different point of view. I studied literature at university. One of my main subjects was linguistics, but I did literature on the side because it's something that I really love. And that gave me a set of tools to read and talk about literature that have been immensely useful for me as a teacher and sort of in my field as an education consultant. However, I feel that they don't necessarily help you when you are talking to normal people, as in people who didn't study literature. I think that sometimes we get too academic about what we are looking at, that we maybe lose track of the actual story a little bit. Maybe we sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I love that shit. I really love digging into the layers and structures of a story and dissecting it down to the bare bones and working out what is going on here. But what I wanted to do with this blog I started was to just focus on story. What is the story? How is it told? Is it a good story? Is it bad? And why do I feel like it's good or bad? What kind of emotions does it trigger in me? What thoughts processes, that was hard to say. What thoughts processes that, okay, never mind, you know what I was trying to say. Does it start in my head? And I would then obviously really love to hear what other people felt and thought about the same thing. And to do that, I had to start retraining myself to look at stories with different eyes. And I thought, if I'm going to get that to work, I need to start with something I haven't read before, something that is new to me, something that I'm not familiar with. And the one thing that I could think of right away, which ties into me being interested in fantasy and the supernatural or paranormal realms, was I have never understood vampire fiction at all. There's something about it that just never clicked with me. Sort of skinny guys in eyeliner and lace that are just brooding and miserable. No, I've never quite understood the sex appeal in that. However, I have one of my best friends, she absolutely loves them. I think she's read and watched every vampire thing there is. And it was one of the weirdest things for me because we connect on so many planes, but this one, no, didn't understand it. So I thought, that's obviously where I need to start this. Vampires. And so I started by thinking about, what do I know about vampires? And what I know is obviously what I've heard from other people. I mean, I've been teaching a lot. I have 5 kids of my own that are now adults, so I've seen them grow up. Why is this so hard? I've seen them. No, I have seen them growing up. I've met a lot of their friends, and obviously heard a lot of what goes on in their lives. And one of the things I remember vividly was when Twilight came out, and all the talk about Twilight and what they thought and what they didn't think. Now, my kids, I've raised a bunch of nerds. They weren't too sort of in awe with Twilight. They were more sort of enjoying the fact that they could pick it apart and complain about shit. So from there, I knew that okay, so there is this series that is hugely popular, and then it had a renaissance just about the time when I started my blog. There was Twilight all over the place again. YouTube was full of it. I saw people tweeting about it. I saw it on Instagram. Twilight, 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 Twilight Renaissance. And I was like, okay, maybe that is my obvious starting point. I know nothing about what makes vampires great. Okay, that's not one. No, it is true. I don't know what makes them great. I had seen, not read, mind you, seen two vampire stories before, and that was Interview with a Vampire from Anne Rice, the film version with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, and the obvious one, Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula from whenever, a long time back, 2005 or something like that. I'd seen those two, and none of them really made a difference to how I felt about vampires. It was like, yeah, they weren't bad films, but they didn't make me feel like, oh, please give me a vampire, give me all the vampire fiction there is, give me all the vampire films. So here we are. And so yeah, I decided to start with Twilight, um, and now it's almost been 2 years since I started reading and watching Twilight and trying to understand what's going on. And there's been a lot of other titles that I've had time to go through as well since then. And all of a sudden, I get it. I get the attraction, and I get how an apex predator is in itself a fascinating creature to deal with. Will I be writing vampire fiction? The quick answer is no, but I must admit there is a part of me that is toying with the idea of either writing a short story with a vampire in it or even doing sort of a fanfic thing, because it's another aspect of what I'm doing. Pushing myself to write things that I wouldn't normally write or haven't written before. So it is possible. My channel is going to be about all aspects of writing, mainly focusing on fantasy and sci-fi, but any area interests me. I will not be dealing with that. That's the one thing I can say for sure. I will not be dealing with non-fictional writing on this channel. I have another platform where I deal with professional writing in sort of business and academic settings. So that's not going to happen here. Obviously, some writing techniques might be overlapping ever so slightly, like grammar, etc., looks the same no matter what you write. So that might come up too. But here we're going to talk about storytelling. That is the focus. So it is read, it is research, it is review, and it is write. Those are the cornerstones of this channel. Um, why should anyone subscribe to my channel? Well, that's a very good question. Why should you subscribe to me? I think you should subscribe to my channel if you are interested in various aspects of writing, if you enjoy discussing stories with people, and not sort of, this is how I feel and fuck you if you think something else. Yes, I do say bad words, so you might as well get used to that. But more in terms of, what did you find interesting about this? What do you think that meant? Why do you think that happened? You know, or would it have been better? Would this story have been better if we would have done it a different way? Would it have started better, ended better, etc., if we did something else? Those things, because I don't want to do that to say that other writers are bad, because I don't think they are. I think all writers have their own merits, right? But I do think that it is a very interesting learning point that we can all find use in and use of. Listen to the editor who doesn't even know how to speak English. This is brilliant. It's a good thing I'm not advertising for clients. No, but I think that by dissecting other people's writing and playing about with it and thinking about how could this character have been different? How could this character arc have been different? What was the sort of motivation behind certain things, etc. Um, that helps you become a better writer too, and that's the ultimate goal of this whole thing, to become a better storyteller, which also means becoming a better writer. I also I also really want to encourage people to get themselves out there and try. I think it's one of the saddest things in the world that so many people believe that they can't do it. Um, I started a TikTok account, and that made it even more apparent to me, because on YouTube you don't come across people the same way as you do on TikTok, I find. And loads of people, when I see them, they make comments on threads and I check them out to see if they are interesting to follow. They don't have any content. And so often I see adults saying, and I'm talking about oldies now, not 25 years old, but oldies, like they're my age or older, saying that, well, I can do that. I can't make videos. I can't post them. And some people, because they don't know sort of technically how to do it. And I do have videos that I made in the past, and I have more coming up that will show that, in case anyone wants to learn, particularly obviously people from the writing community. But the biggest problem is that they don't think they are good enough. And I have been there. I know what that feels like. I know what it is like to think that you just need to do something first. It's going to be the right day. You're going to buy a new camera. You need to fix your hair. You need to lose weight. That one I struggled with for years, thinking that if I was going to be on a camera, I would have to lose a lot of weight first. Or their teeth need fixing, which is one of my problems. Thank you, COVID. Whatever it may be, they come up with all these reasons why they can't do it now. And the saddest part of that is that the day will come when you're not here anymore. And the people who loved you, they would probably really cherish any video, any piece of writing, any part of you that you left behind for them. And that was the turning point for me. Now, I can tell you that my first video is god awful. And because it's god awful, I am going to upload it in a story time and share it, because that's part of what I do. I share my first drafts, I share my bloopers, I share my horrible perhaps in music, etc. Because I want to show that you can start with something that is demonstrably bad, and you can turn it into something that is, if not good, so at least okay. And with each thing you do, with each video, each picture, each selfie, each short story, each poem, whatever it is, every time you get one done, you're going to get a tiny bit better than you were before. And that's what I want you to see. I want to encourage you to step out there, challenge yourself, or as I call it, jump off the cliffs, dip your toes into the waters. Life is too short not to. I promise. So yeah, if any of that resonates with you, that's why you should subscribe to me. Come along. I love tea. We can have tea together. I love hugs. I'll give you a hug. I'll share my tea with you. I'll sing you a song and tell you a story. I'll solve your problems. I'll give you advice. Unsolicited or solicited, doesn't matter. I'll dish that shit out like candy. Or sweets, as we say over here. But for some reason, I find that it is mainly Americans who follow me. All my accounts, I seem to resonate with Americans. Maybe they think sort of crazy Swedish woman is something that they are interested in. I don't know. But that's the truth of it. So, hi Americans, if you're there, if you see me, have a tea. have a cuppa and bring out the sweets. And if you don't want any sweets, then you can just have me. I'm kind of sweet most of the time when I'm not too potty mouth. Next question. Where do I see myself in 5 years? Well, if I am fortunate enough to still be here in 5 years' time, I can't see myself anywhere because of the virus situation. I am still in isolation because of the virus. I am immunodeficient, which, no, well, I'm probably that too, but I am immunocompromised was the word I was looking for. If I'm still here in 5 years' time and the virus is gone, so it's free for me to go outdoors again, or safe for me to go outdoors again, the dream, the ultimate dream for me is to buy a van, put my bed inside that van, put my recording equipment inside that van, and leave this place and just go wherever the road takes me. I want to be able to visit my kids when I want to. I want to be able to visit my friends when I want to. But most of all, because I spend most of my time because I spend most of my time in bed, most of all, what I want is to park up my van by the water somewhere. I love the sea. I love lakes. I love anything with water. I like forests, woods, trees. I want to be somewhere in nature writing and making videos. That's what I want. So hopefully we shall see the end of this pandemic, and hopefully I'll be able to keep making content so I can do that. That is my dream. Next question. What inspired you to start making videos? Well, actually, what inspired me, I don't know if inspired is the right word, but what forced me to make videos, I feel, was another story time, really. But in short, a few years ago, my doctor said that I should make peace with death because of my illness. Now, that doesn't really appeal to me, and I'm not so sure I have much peacemaking to do. But it started two things. It started me on the route of the Swedish death cleaning, as we call it, to go through my legacy. What am I leaving behind, and what am I leaving for my children to deal with the day I'm no longer here? I don't want them to have too much hassle when I'm gone. But also, I lost the people that meant most to me very early. So I should have said the person who meant the most to me very early was my grandmother. I lost her when I was very young. I was 12 at the time. And since then I've lost all of my grandparents. And something that I've thought about a lot is the legacy of our elders. The things that we should have had from them that we never did because we didn't take the time. We always think we have more time. There's always going to be another day. And this might boil down to their recipes, their stories, their memories of how things turned out the way they did. Because all of that is part of our roots, and roots are important to me. And I thought, particularly thinking about my grandson, who was very little at the time, well, he's still little. And I thought about, he is my first grandchild, and he might be the only grandchild I get to meet. And there may be other grandchildren coming after. I have 5 kids, so the odds are in favor of that, I suppose. What would I like them to know about me other than what their parents would say, or other people who knew me? And I thought, they're all second-hand accounts. And I love that. I love hearing people talk about my grandparents and their memories of them, etc. But what I would have loved even more would be to have access to their voice, their sort of authentic selves. Whether it's sort of something I agree with or not, whether I would sort of end up thinking, oh my gosh, is that what you were like? Is that the kind of person you were? I would still want to have that. It would mean the world to me, and I don't. And that's what I wanted to give to my children and grandchildren. So this whole journey that started almost 5 years ago now with me deciding I need to learn how to make videos has taken me here when I started the Linnea Lucifer account and the As We Write blog, which I hope is going to be part of that legacy. It's one side of a bigger thing, but I might talk about later. But for now, that's it. Who are some of your favorite content creators? Oh, well, that's easy. I mean, favorite is hard. I have so many favorites. There are so many good content creators. As a Swedish person, it is impossible for me not to mention PewDiePie. I know he's controversial. I know a lot of people have problems with him. Um, Mostly, I believe, because they don't understand Swedish people and Swedish humor. I don't believe PewDiePie is half as bad as a lot of people want to make him out to be. I think a lot of his content is really funny. I think he is a genuinely funny person. And I also think that he does a lot of good. And I think something I really admire in people who manage to build platforms for themselves is when they use that platform to do good. Because it's easy enough to get famous. It's easy enough, well, relatively easy enough to get famous. But a lot of people, they have no other aim and no other goal than to be famous in terms of amassing followers. And they don't necessarily know what are they going to do with this, other than just being famous. And being famous in itself seems to me one of the most shallow things you can ever aspire to. But if you want to build yourself a platform, gain a following, and use that to make a difference to someone else, even if it's just one person, then I think that is fantastic. And PewDiePie does a lot of good for an awful lot of people, and I admire him for that. A second person I look up to is Peter McKinnon. He was actually one of the three content creators, I should say, because it's 4 people technically. One of the 3 content creators that inspired me to start my own YouTube account, the first one I started 5 years ago, was Peter McKinnon. He didn't have many followers then. He was really new on YouTube himself. And he used to do 2-minute Tuesdays, I think they were called. And he did a lot of things to talk about how to make videos, how to put your stuff out there, what do you need. And the first lesson I got from him, who is a photographer, a God's gifted photographer. Okay, let's try this again. Peter McKinnon is a marvelously talented photographer. He is so good that you look at his pictures and you think, you know what, I can put my camera away. I will never get there. And then he makes content, or at least he did back then, where he's like, yeah, my photos are good because I've spent X number of years perfecting this art. So I now have access to the best equipment. I have learned so many lessons. I can do all the different softwares to help me enhance my pictures, etc., etc. And of course, there is also an artistic eye that goes into it. To become a really good photographer, you need to have an eye for what makes a good picture. And all of those things can be trained. I mean, they can't all be trained to a point where you become Peter McKinnon, because there has to be an element of talent as well initially for that to happen. But to make really good photography, anyone can do with training. And then he had this video where he said, because this now comes to my problem, I spend most of my time in bed. Very little goes on in my daily life. So how could I possibly make videos? What would I make videos about? Who wants to watch an old fat woman lying in bed all day long? No one. And then Peter McKinnon comes along and he says, you know what? You don't need to have things going on. Everybody has a story. Every single person has a story. Get your stories out there. You don't need a camera to do it. Almost everybody has a phone. The phone has a camera. Use it. To start, the only thing you need is a Google account so that you can get onto YouTube, and a phone with a camera on it. Is it going to be the best you ever did? No, but the point is, no one is ever going to start out their channel with the best they ever did. And what he said, it really resonated with me, and I realized that that is so true. I don't need all these things. I just need to jump. And I've spent my entire life trying to show my kids that you can jump off cliffs and try. And if you didn't like where you landed, you can always go somewhere else. And yet here, when it came to filming, because I've spent my whole life avoiding cameras, I've been working with photographers. I've been working with getting, words and pictures printed on paper and later published online. And I've done my damnedest to avoid being in front of the camera. There are so few pictures of me from the past because of that. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to take control of this ridiculous fear and turn it into, no, this is what I look like. This is what I look like. This is who I am. And it's sort of part of the parcel. This mind and this heart lives inside this body at the moment. And that's it. Another inspiration was the video influencers, Sean Cannell and Benji Travis. Brilliant channel. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. You should check it out. The video influencers, especially their early stuff, because they have blown up now and been so big. I mean, they're so big that they are kind of targeting a slightly different audience these days. But in the beginning, same thing. I had a hand-me-down iPhone 5 that I made my first videos on, and the sound wasn't very good. And I looked up how much would it cost to get a microphone, and microphones are really expensive. I couldn't afford it. And then Sean Cannell makes a video where he says, do you know that you can make your videos using a phone? I was like, yeah, I do know that. That's what I'm doing. And then he said, and if you want to get better sound, you can get yourself a lapel mic or a lavalier mic, depending on where you live. You might call them different things. In Sweden, we call them mygga, mosquito, because people tend to stick them to their clothes and they look like a little mosquito is sitting there. And he showed that you can get one of them for like under £10. Virtually no money. Well, £10 is a lot of money for some people too, but it's at least something that is achievable. If you show me a microphone that is a couple of hundred, I know that that's going to take me forever to save up to, and then I lose that incentive. But if you tell me there is one that I can get for 10, 15, 20 pounds, then I know that actually that one I can get within a couple of months. So that's achievable within a time frame that I can see and feel that it is doable. So that's where we start. So that's what I had 5 years ago. A hand-me-down iPhone that I paid nothing for, and a lapel microphone that I think I paid like £9 on Amazon. Are the videos great? No, but the truth is they wouldn't have been any better if I'd had the best camera in the world and the most fabulous microphone and setup. Because it would still have been me saying the same things, feeling just as awkward about it. So I didn't need better equipment than what I had. I just needed to get it done. Done is better than perfect. I think that's what we need to remember. Done is better than perfect. Just get it out there. We can always take bad stuff and make it better. But if we don't have stuff, we can't do anything. The last inspiration I had that really got me going was Amy Schmidt-Auer. I think she has a different surname because she got married, and I can't actually remember off the top of my head what it is. But she wrote a book called How to Vlog Like a Boss. And she also spearheaded a yearly challenge called Vlog Every Day in August. And she set up prompts what that vlog was going to be about, what we were supposed to talk about. Which was really good for me, because one thing that I'd never thought about was that I don't actually have to do something in the vlog. I just need to talk about something. And with the prompt words, I had something to talk about. And there were silly things like, what's your favourite ice cream? I think that was one. I'm not sure. But just, simple stuff like that. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What's the best you've ever had, etc. And so I managed to do a full month of vlogs. And so within the first year on my first YouTube account, I think I made about 70 videos. And another thing was I was obviously scared of bad feedback because I didn't have much confidence in doing these things. And my kids said to me that just so you know, people on YouTube can be really mean. And it's like, well, at this point, I don't really care. I felt very strongly that I had to do this. It was something I had to do for my grandson more than anything else. And here we are. I've been making videos ever since. I haven't been uploading all the videos I made because I like making content and stacking it so that when I decided to start going pro, it sounds so silly to me to say that, but that's what I decided to do from this year, to actually go pro and do this as a professional, force myself to make sort of content and put it out there on a continuous basis, which is why I've stacked hundreds of blog posts and made lots of videos that are ready to be posted. And now the plan is to also start regular streams. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know yet. What does your username mean? Oh, that's a sweet one. Well, my username is Linnea Lucifer. Linnea, as I said before, is my grandmother's name. She was Eva Linnea. My name was Eva Lena. They were close. But Linnea is actually the name of a flower, a delicate, cute little, I don't know what they call it, but you know when they have just one little stalk like this and it splits at the top and has two flowers. It's called parblommig in Swedish, which means couple and flowers, or couple bloom. And the Linnea is a tiny little delicate flower that grows particularly in mossy woodlands in the dark. And it was the favorite flower, they say, of Carl von Linné, who was a famous Swedish botanist and the one who developed the classification system with the taxonomies that tells us about sort of families and species and all of these things, so we understand where different things belong. And he also made fabulous drawings about of plants and trees and flowers and all sorts of things. So the flower Linnea was named Linnea after Carl von Linné, or I think it's called Linnaeus in Latin, which has also been used a lot. Obviously, his system is based on Latin. So Linnea I've used for crafty stuff from my teens, and when I was, I think, 20, my early 20s, I was going to have my first, I was about to say exhibition, but that's not completely true. But we were going to actually take our crafts material to a marketplace and sell them there. And for that, we needed to have tags on them with a proper sort of creator's name, who was the person making the crafts. And Linnea was the obvious, because it was Linnea who was making the crafts, but I had to have a full name. And I thought, as much as I love it, the fact that it is my grandmother's name and I want to hang on to that, I love those cute little delicate flowers. And there is sort of a part of my soul that harbors that delicate little personality that I try very hard to protect. But most of me is something completely different. So I felt that if I add Lucifer, it sounds good. It's an alliteration there with the double L's. And I also feel like that was weighing up some of the bad sides of me as well into the mix. So you have the sweet and delicate flower and the well, you worked at that for yourself. The not so sweet side of me. Next question, let me check. What is the best thing about what? Where is the rest of that line? What's the best thing about YouTube? We can do that for both Twitch and YouTube. The best thing, if you ask me about YouTube, is that it is like a Wikipedia, but with videos. You can see how things are done instead of just reading about it. As someone who's been working in teaching and education consultant, education been an education consultant for years. Um, One thing I believe strongly in is to cater for different learner types. For some people, the best way of acquiring information is to read. The best way for them to enjoy a book is to read. For others, the best way is to see. See something, someone do it. See someone sit down in front of them and read to them or something. For others, still, it's just listening. Take away the visual, but just put it in their ears. And so that for me is the best thing. The second best thing about YouTube that no other medium does the same way. No podcasting can do it. No writing can do it. Is that it creates a direct relationship between you and the content creator. On YouTube, because you see them, you see their mannerisms, you see parts of their homes, you see their good days, their bad days, you follow them over time. You get a sense that this is my friend. I know this person, and obviously we don't, because we only see a tiny fraction of their time and only whatever they choose to show us. But still, there is this feeling. So I'm a strong believer in relationship marketing, that the best way of selling anything is to build a relationship between you and your potential customer. Because if they like you, they want to support you. That's the long and short of it. I want to buy stuff, whether it is something I will never use, or in terms of books, if it's a book I know I will never read because it's not something that really appeals to me. I will still buy the book if this is someone I like and care about, someone I want to support. And I think that is the best thing about YouTube, and the same is true for Twitch, because even though Twitch started out as a streaming channel where you can save your videos, and YouTube started out as a make a video channel that then opened up for streams, the long and short of it is still the same. You get the same kind of relationship. There is an immediacy between a person being in front of you, talking, making fools of themselves, being funny, being intelligent and exciting, whatever it is that appeals to you, and even, by all means, being sexy. For all of those people who want to complain about young girls getting followers only because they're sexy, as if there was something wrong with that to begin with, but also completely discarding whatever talent they might have apart from their physical traits. The worst thing about YouTube, I don't think there is a worst thing. The worst thing that happens in social media, full stop, I believe, is it has given platforms to people whose voices maybe we would prefer not to hear. And when I say that, I mean people who willfully spread information, people who willfully put out things that are demonstrably not true, even if they themselves believe them to be true. But I do see that as a threat to our democracy, and democracy means everything to me. So that is a problem. I also think it is that goes to comment sections as well. It doesn't matter if it is a content creator doing it or if it is just sort of a follower who is writing comments on someone's channels or someone's blogs or even sort of Facebook accounts, etc. I think that is the worst part of it. And that doesn't set YouTube up. In fact, my kids warned me about YouTube particularly, and said that we would get a lot of hate on YouTube. I've not found that to be true. I think to a certain extent we reap what we sow, and if you are constantly being rude and disrespectful and saying horrible things to other people, then obviously you are going to invite more of that thing to yourself. If you are respectful and kind to people, you will still get those who hate what you did and think that you suck. But you know what? That's okay. They can think that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. And it doesn't mean necessarily that what you did actually sucked. It just means that that's how they felt. And sometimes it doesn't even mean that. Sometimes it just means that this person had a generally shitty day, and you happen to be the one that they decided to sort of their nasty ugh on. In which case you did something good for them. So again, do something good for someone else, then it's all worth it, right? Um, what are your goals when it comes to YouTube? Oh, that's actually simple, and I don't think this is achievable, to be quite honest. But if I were to set myself a goal, I would actually rather call it a dream, because again, I don't know what time frame we're working on, and I don't know where this stupid virus situation is going to take us. But a dream for me with YouTube would be to have to get enough followers to be allowed to do streams on YouTube too, and I think it's the same for monetization. But 1,000 followers would be pretty cool to have. And as I said, I don't know if that is a possibility, but yeah, dream goal, to have more than 1,000 followers. That would be spectacular, I think. What are your favorite type of videos to make? I don't know, to be honest. I like to make educational videos, and I think that's because I desperately miss being a teacher. It's something deeply rooted in me. I love showing people how to do things. I love being helpful, full stop. If you have a problem, I want to help you fix it. And I don't want to fix it for you. I want to give you the tools so that you can fix it. And that next time you come across this problem, whether it is you who have the problem again or you meet someone else who has the problem, you now know that you can step up and fix it. That to me is that's a brilliant video to make. In fact, I made one the other day. The video in itself is crap because I did it with my phone in bed just quickly. Someone wanted to know how to, what was it? Someone wanted to know how to, oh yeah, how to copy the link to a particular tweet and then post that link in a different tweet. And they couldn't work out how to do it. And so I made a quick video showing, look, this is what it looks like. Click here, do that, you know. And it's crazy. It made their day because they were really happy to get this help. It solved the problem they had, and it made something that they wanted to do a lot easier. But it also gave me immense pleasure to be helpful. And so I posted this video to my YouTube, and interestingly enough, it has been watched, I think, 6 times since then, which means that either someone got it, that it sort of came up as the next video, so they started watching it from there. But I can see the watch time, that actually it is being watched all the way through, mostly. So it is also possible that someone typed into their search function in YouTube, how do I copy a tweet, or how do I copy a tweet into someone else's tweet, or copy a link from a tweet, something like that. And my video came up, and because it was posted the other day, it might have been one of the latest in that group. And I think that is sort of the powerful aspect of video and YouTube, that you can post something today and it doesn't matter if it doesn't take off, because you never know what will take off 100%. You can have ideas, but you don't know for a fact. You can post a video that you think is going to, get a good sort of number of views, and it's nothing. And then you post something else that is, to all intents and purposes, shit. And you wake up the next day and 1,000 people have seen it. And you go, oh gosh, how did this happen? I see it as swings and roundabouts. If I have 1,000 people watching one video, it is possible that they will end up watching another at some point. It also means that it helps you with algorithms and things like that. The more people who watch, the more people who comment, the more people who like or dislike, it bumps your videos up in the algorithms and gives you more viewers. And what I find very interesting is that it happens all the time. You post a video, gets 1 view, 2 views, not much, and then a month later, or in one case I had a video that I posted because which was one of those things. I was in traffic and people were pissing me off because they were honking at my daughter, who was a learner driver at the time. And so when she went in to do something, I don't know if she went to a shop or a petrol station, I pulled my phone out and had one of those sort of, I fucking hate idiots who keep honking at learner drivers. And I put it on my YouTube and it had nothing. And then all of a sudden, I think it was last year, people started commenting on this video, and someone said, "Oh, thank you so much. This nearly broke my confidence as a driver, and I nearly gave up. And now I saw this, and it helped me." So that's the power of the video medium. That no blog or anything has the same way. It really doesn't. And I think it is again because you see the person talking to you. I made another video about attempted suicide and the importance of being supportive and loving people you have around you that struggle with mental health problems, that I've had people contacting me about and saying it meant something to them. And again, I didn't make the video to be supportive of other people at that time. I made it because I was shattered, having spent time with someone in hospital who very nearly was lost to me at that point. And I came out, sat in the car crying, and I pulled up my phone and I said, "Guess what? This is something we need to think about." And now, years later, I mean, it's not got thousands of views, but it is getting views, and people have been contacting me saying thank you for making that video, and that is really precious to me. It tells me something about sort of the power of this particular type of medium. Any advice to new content creators? Yes, I do. Do it. That's my advice. Just do it. Stop thinking. Stop hesitating. Stop sort of telling yourself that you can't, or that you're good enough, or that I just need this first. Just stop. Get out there and do it. The only way you can learn to make a good video is by making shit videos. How else are you going to work out what is good and what is bad? And I think, assuming that the people who are going to watch this are going to be writers, whether they are baby writers, as in people just starting out, or whether they are long-standing, experienced and sort of published writers that are thinking about getting into video or something, you must know that you did not write perfect stories, the first couple of stories you wrote. And if you tell me you did, I'm going to call you out on that bullshit because I don't believe it. I seriously don't believe it. We have to write a certain amount of crap before we figure out our own voice, our own craft, before we realize what works and what doesn't, and we can start tighten up our stories and make them good. And it is the same when it comes to making video, or when it comes to streaming. You can only get good by doing it. And here is a piece of advice that I have been dishing out to other people. If you feel really insecure about getting in front of a camera and making good content, go and pick out your favorite YouTubers or your favorite Twitch stream. Well, actually, Twitch doesn't work as well because I don't think they save videos here for more than a month, do they? I'm not sure about that, but it definitely works on YouTube, unless the content creator is a bit of a wuss and have deleted their early stuff. But a lot of them don't. They leave them in to sort of show the development they've had. Scroll your way back to their early videos and see what they looked like, what they sounded like. Look at the quality of the video because they didn't have the great equipment they have now, etc. That's where you are. It's a bit like when you want to build your own computer for the first time. You go online and you look for the best setup for the computer and you look for whatever is best right now. Well, don't do that. Go for what was best 3 years ago. It's probably more in your budget, probably more along the lines of what you actually need. Because if you haven't done a computer build before, you don't need a state-of-the-art rig. You need to work out how to build a rig. Start somewhere in the back and build from there. That's my best advice. Whether you want to get on Twitch or whether you want to get on YouTube or TikTok, for all, by all means, my best advice, the best advice I could possibly give you is just do it. Stop questioning yourself. Just do it. And guess what? That was the last question, and I've been talking for a long time. Um, but you kept me company, and I managed to get my hours sitting up, so that's great. Now I'm gonna have to go and have a rest. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. If you're watching this at some point, thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate it. If you could leave a comment or a like, even, that would make my day even better. And if you saw something you liked, or if you heard something that resonated with you, then please consider subscribing. I know it's annoying with all these content creators who keep saying subscribe to my channel, but the thing is, a lot of people watch and they forget, and subscriptions are important. Sorry, not subscriptions, that's the paid ones, aren't they? Wrong words again. Just follow someone. It means the world to anyone who's producing content, and it sort of boosts confidence as well. So make sure to click the follow or subscribe buttons or whatever it says on the platform you're at. What do you say, Bella? Should we call it a day? Should we call it a day and say bye-bye, people? We're going to go to bed and have a snuggle cuddle and another cup of tea, a fresh one. Okay. But as always, before I go, this is very important. I want you to know that I'm grateful for your time, and thank you very much for being here. I love you. Don't forget that. Bye.